Let's talk money, women. The salary negotiation focused on just women. Hi, everyone. I'm Bukola Maye, and welcome to Coffee, Couch, and Conversations. Today, we're going to be looking at how to negotiate a good compensation or a good package or a good strategy, especially for women's salaries, their remuneration, their salary, their take home, their packages, etc. It's very important that we understand the basis of negotiating a salary because most times we feel like we deserve it. Yes, that might be true. We might deserve those high salaries, but what are we bringing to the table? We have to think about value add. What are some of the things we need to consider first before thinking of that ideal salary that we require or that we need, or more importantly, that we want? Number one, what value are we bringing to the table? What is our experience? Have we worked long enough in this field to be considered subject matter experts? Do we have a myriad of experience in this particular field? Have we worked for over 5 years in this particular field? Do we have various experiences from various companies? And also, how well are we doing on that particular field or in that particular field? These are important questions we need to ask ourselves as women and not come to the negotiation table feeling entitled. Just because I'm a woman, I deserve it. No, we've moved away from that narrative long ago. Now we're actually talking about value and, more importantly, impact. Are we impactful in our roles? Are we holding leadership positions? Are we able to manage teams? Are we able to drive business strategy and business development? Are we adding to the bottom line of the business? Are we growing revenue? Are we bringing in new clients? Are we expanding to new markets? Those are a lot of questions we need to ask ourselves before we come to the negotiation table. If over the years we've made good progress or good stride with our performance appraisals, then we can start to have these negotiations or these conversations. Another thing we need to think about is, what is the going market rate or industry standard rate for this particular position we're applying for or that we're negotiating a salary for? We can't just come up with figures off the top of our heads. We need to understand what the industry is doing. So not only within your environment, even globally, what is the rate being paid for this position, both in Nigeria, in West Africa, in Europe, and beyond? When we have an idea of what other women in this field with the same amount of educational background and experience are being paid, then we can compare that to what we are expecting. Because what happens most time is we just hear of someone earning an X amount of money and we feel like that is what we deserve, or we feel like that is what we should be paid. There's nothing wrong in knowing your own value. There's nothing wrong in knowing what you bring to the table, but it also has to match industry standards. Now, we've had situations where a lot of employees come asking for maybe $1,000 a month, and then at the end of the day, after the interview, the employer saw additional value and were able to offer maybe $1,500 or even $2,000, 2x what you were asking for or 2x what you were expecting. Now, as we all know, uneasy, they say, lies the head that wears the crown. So the more money you're getting, the more value and impact you're supposed to bring to the table or add to the organization. So don't collect that salary increase of maybe 20%, 10%, 5%, even 1%, and not grow with the value of the salary increase you've received. Because what happens is that people are going to start looking at you like, so how come she's on that high salary? What is she doing? Why is she not doing X, Y, and Z? Why is she not adding value or bringing impact to the organization? So it's very important, women, that we forget about the stereotypical way of doing things, the way we've done things in the past, and we focus more on best practice. If you're able to convince an employer or a recruiter with evidence, with facts and figures, showing them what you've brought to the table, the value and the impact the value has had on the organization, then you've done your research. You have to do research to see what this role or this position is paying globally, or at least in your immediate environment. Then you bring that to the table, and then you talk about more or additional things that you plan to do for the organization when you're given this increase or when you're given this additional money or funds or package then you can start to have that conversation. Because what we do not want to see is entitled women in the workplace feeling that just because I've been here for 10 years, I deserve X amount. I should be a manager. I should be an executive director. No, 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 women. We're not doing that anymore. Now we're actually bringing something to the table which is called value and impact. And these are things that we should laud. You must laud your successes. You can't be timid about it, because if you don't laud it, how is the management going to know? How is senior management going to know? How is the board of directors going to know? You have to make noise. You have to toot your own horn. Over the years, we've been told not to toot our own horn. We've been told to be quiet, don't be a noisemaker. Unfortunately, the world has evolved beyond that. Now, a closed mouth is a closed destiny, I think is what they say. So if you are not shouting your successes and singing your own praises, nobody is going to know about it. Your manager might know about it during the performance appraisal, but then what happens in between the time when you do your performance appraisal half year and then at the end of the year? People need to know that you're actually working. You must make yourself visible. And by making yourself visible, not visible for the wrong things, visible for impact, visible for success, visible for growth. We also have to add value to ourselves as women. It's not enough to just say, I've been doing this for 10 years, I'm now an expert. In those 10 years, what else have you added onto yourself? What additional degrees or certifications or licenses have you brought or added to yourself? Have you gotten? Right? These are the things that will help you negotiate and sit at the table and have a voice when you're negotiating. Because the reality is that it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. Things are tough and it's very competitive, especially with the use of artificial intelligence now. You're dealing with a very, very competitive market, even globally. So my word of advice to all the young women out there looking for salary negotiations or salary increase is to do some of the things I've said, and trust me, you won't regret it. Because what's happening now, what we're seeing now is more women are coming up to say, we have these degrees, the same degrees as men, we have the same experiences as men, we have the same capacity as men, so we should be paid equally and equitably just like men. That is absolutely brilliant. I support that 100%. But we must make sure that we have the proof, we have the evidence, and we're able to show and demonstrate that these things are accurate. We're not just talking because we're women. We're talking because we're women that have shown and demonstrated our capacity and capabilities in the workplace. I hope these few points help, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.